What is up, YouTube? This is Zach, Dreamedia Home Theater. If you guys are not one of my subscribers already, make sure you smash that subscribe button down below and give me a big thumbs up on this video. Today, I am going to be taking you into Chris Deering's lab. It is his own home theater where literally he has everything industry leading in this room. All the different screen materials that are out there, the top of the line processors. He's got that Lumagen processor in there, a kaleidoscope system, a Anamorphic DCR lens, literally every single thing that you guys are gonna need whenever we send your projector to him, and then he does a professional calibration on it and fine tunes it exactly to your needs. So I wanted to show in detail exactly how this works, because we keep making these videos just discussing it and just talking about it, but let's see it in action. Let's see how it would actually perform in your space so that you can see what you're buying rather than just reading and watching these videos on it. So it's just a quick little video, him holding up his iPhone, showing us exactly how the Lumagen processor as well as that DCR lens works in his own space. All right, guys, well, I hope you're as excited as I am. What is up, guys? I got Chris Deering with Deep Dive AV here on the Zoom meeting, and today he is going to be showing in action how the Lumagen scaler or processor works in combination with the DCR lens. How you doing today, Chris?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
Great. I'm really excited to actually see this work on a screen. You know, we've been talking about it in the last few videos, but I want to actually see the user interface, which is the big selling feature. It's just super easy and works all the time. Show me how this is how this goes down.
Sure. So right now we're in my theater room. You're looking at a 140-inch scope screen that's in front of me. And right now I just have a 4K Blu-ray playing through an Oppo into a Lumagen Radiance Pro processor. That's feeding a JVC NX9 rs3000 projector that has a DCR lens on it. So right now we're just, as you can see, it's just the menu screen for the movie itself. And as you can kind of see when it lights up a little bit, it is being displayed in 16:9 on this screen. You can see the mask here is where my frame ends, and then this is where the frame for the video is. So you're just seeing that it's formatting the image to look proper for the screen itself. And this is kind of what we were talking about before when I said that with the Lumagen, you can have this all done automatically. So I'll just kind of demonstrate what I'm talking about there. So this is a scope movie once we get started. So I'm just going to hit play movie here, and then it'll start the movie up. You're seeing some light on the screens. There's your standard FBI, God, I wish I could skip this faster warnings.
No worries.
And then there's your thing, and you can see that it's already formatted for a scope screen. Now, some people might ask, well, why didn't it format for that? So the way that the Lumagen works is, and you're seeing it right here, is that it waits about 3 to 5 seconds to detect, and then it switches. And it does that. You
don't have to do anything for that.
No,
right?
I haven't pressed a single button yet other than you just hit OK to play movie. And the reason it does that is it doesn't want to switch on a false detect, like something weird comes up for like 1 second from like an on-screen display from your player or whatever, and it switches aspect and then it switches back. So it looks to make sure that it's not, and I'm just going to hit skip here to another chapter. It looks to make sure that it is exactly scope. So you can see now it's filling the full scope screen just fine, and it does this all automatically, but at any time, if I really wanted to, like, let's say I wanted to force an aspect ratio, I can push a button on my remote, and you can see I can change the aspect all the way back down to 4:3 and then back out again. The only reason that you would ever have that is, let's say you're watching something on Apple TV or, your Chromecast or whatever, and it's subtitled. I get this sometimes from people with scope screens. And half of the subtitles are in the frame and the other half are outside the frame. How do you deal with a situation like that? So what I typically would do is just go down one aspect ratio. So now you're still using as much width as possible. You can see it's still, if I went to 16:9 right now, so here's 16:9, which is what most, Not doing it. Sorry, it's my remote isn't on the, there we go. So there's 16:9. You see how much black bars there is. So now I have the black bars above it and below it, and then so I could see those subtitles, right? Well, I don't really want to waste all that real estate on that. So I could change the aspect ratio. If I can get my little IR sensor to work here, I can make my aspect ratio not quite as narrow. So now my bars are just that big, but it does leave some space at the bottom for those subtitles to appear. Or I can go to, you know, one that's a little narrower than that, but still not as narrow as like 16:9 is there. So you can change it. And what happens is the way the auto aspect ratio works on this, when it's set up, if I change it manually to an aspect ratio like I just did for 16:9, it will automatically stay in that until it sees a change of signal. So this was something that they built in, not really for like the subtitle thing, but for movies like The Dark Knight or some of these like Christopher Nolan movies that you see that are kind of popular, where they switch aspect ratios during the movie. They go from 16:9 to 2:3:5. Well, when you have a 2:3:5 screen and stuff, that can be, you know, so the Lumagen, if you just left it in its auto aspect, it would switch for those automatically, and it would go between and jump between the two. But most of those movies are shot where they're scope safe, just like they were when you saw them theatrically, if you didn't see them in IMAX. So if I turn on a movie like The Dark Knight and I'm like, you know what, I just want it to be scoped the whole time because I know he shot it scope safe, and I don't want it sitting there switching on and off. Once the movie starts, if I just program a button and say 240, the Lumagen locks in at that aspect ratio and will stay there despite seeing any changes until it sees you stop the movie. So it sees an interrupt in the signal going into it. So you push stop, or you push, top menu, or you change the input source, and then it goes right back to being automatic again. So it's like a little workaround for those that don't want to have that kind of problem or anything like that.
Yeah,
and then
cool. It literally has every little minor issue that could arise when watching films built in, and we can even program that into the client's universal remotes if they do want to, get into the nitty gritty and make sure they're getting the perfect experience every single time. But for most clients, they're probably just running it in auto, right?
Correct. Yeah, more often than not, your auto. Because again, the ones that are the auto aspect movies like that, like the Christopher Nolans, they really only represent a small handful of movies out of literally the millions of movies out there. But it's just something that where it takes into account, you can have it the way that they want it, where it switches and it'll do that for you automatically, or you can have it where it locks in on an aspect ratio. And again, at any time you can change the aspect of what you're watching on the fly as well. And that really works out pretty well. So this movie is Ready Player One, and I brought this up specifically because this is a Warner title on 4K that is available in Atmos, but it doesn't default to the Atmos track. So that could be kind of frustrating for some people, where unfortunately Warner made it where it defaults to a different audio track. So let's say I started the movie and I'm like, man, it just doesn't sound as good as I thought it was going to sound. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. This is one I manually have to do with Atmos. So if you were using, a DCR lens, or if you had a zooming method and you didn't have a Lumagen, if you hit the menus, they're going to be off the screen. So right now, the only thing I'm going to do is push the menu button, so that brings up the little pop-up menu. So wait, did I do that right? Oh, unfortunately, I hit the top menu button. Hold on a second. But you see the same thing. So the top menu came up, which is a 16:9 menu, and it automatically adjusted the aspect ratio. I'm going to click the pop-up menu. So pop-up menu, and it takes it a second. Remember I said it takes about 3 to 5 seconds before it realizes that there's something off the screen. See, boom, popped up. Menu goes away. We wait a couple seconds for that to go up, and then boom, it does it all by itself. And again, I'm not sitting there changing a zoom on the projector. I'm not doing anything with anything else. It's just, it gets in and out of your way, and you're right back to enjoying it without having to fumble through buttons or anything like that.
Again, going back to that user experience, that's the situation, one of the situations where our clients are like, oh, screw it, I'm just going to adjust it on my wall.
Exactly.
You don't have to do that with this setup.
Yep. So now if I go, I hit the home button. So I'm going to go back to the Oppo splash screen and stuff. So now it's, you see how fast it came back to it now. See, it's filling the whole screen. And then it goes, oh, nope, that's 16:9, boom. But not only that, do you see, like, I just switched from something that was playing in 24p HDR to now something that's SDR and 60p in my projector, and you saw how fast it did it. So it eliminates a lot of that. Like I have mine set up where it actually uses the exact same picture mode in the JVC all the time, and the Lumagen has the calibration stored for SDR and HDR, switches between the two, and does the color space conversion, because right now I'm telling the JVC to use, the full 2020 gamut. And then the Lumagen is actually converting the 709 to work inside 2020 properly, where it's still fully calibrated, but you don't have to sit there and switch from one picture mode to another. So it makes it a lot more instantaneous.
Yeah, that is so cool.
Yeah. So then, if I got into others, so if I go to, let's switch over to like a Strato. So here's a kaleidoscape system. So I just turned off the Oppo. I just programmed this as a macro. So now we're going to switch over to the Strato. So it's got to turn on the Strato.
Is that what you use primarily? We just started getting clients that were asking about that, and we've sold a couple.
I just added the Strato into my system recently. I'm actually in the process of publishing a review for Sound and Vision. So anybody that wants to read my thoughts on the Strato, there's going to be a review here in Sound and Vision here shortly from me. But I was pretty skeptical going in, but I ended up buying one for myself for reasons. And if you ever want to have a conversation on that for a video, I could talk about the reasons why I decided to add one. So here cool. I have the Strato set up so that it is it's using a 235 menu system, so that it does fill my entire scope screen with their interface, which is, really like what a lot of people like, is like, oh, look at, like, I just love that interface, with these and things like that. And you can see that, the Lumagen, it came up in scope right away when it came on. Trying to think of a movie that I know of right off the top of my head. Okay, so this is, again, this is all a scope interface, so you're seeing it filling the entire width. So Pacific Rim, I'm going to go ahead and pick, because I know that's a 16:9 movie. So let's go to Pacific Rim, and instead of going to that, I can just say, like, one of the nice things about Kaleidoscape is they have all these cool predetermined demo scenes that they pick, where, if you just want to show off your home theater like everybody likes to do, they already have all these different scenes picked out. Nice. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on one of these, and it'll start. So now we're switching from an interface that was 60p SDR to a scene that's an HDR 24p. So the Lumagen is now just, the Strato has to start its output, and then the Lumagen. So you saw it came up, and again, we're already framed out properly for 16:9. It's kind of hard to see here because it's, this room is so dark.
Yeah, no, we can.
Oh, there it is right there. You can really kind of make it out right there with the light next to it.
Yeah.
So that's, so that does that. And again, I can switch the aspect ratio to anything I want. And then, as I talked about in the Lumagen video, it also offers the option, if you don't want to have black bars and proper framing at any time, I can hit nonlinear stretch. And now this whole movie is filling up my screen, and they're trying their best to do as little distortion as possible. Obviously, there's got to be some kind of compromises, but yeah, I have a ton of clients that really like this, that don't notice much, that it bothers them really at all.
Yeah, can you switch back to 16:9, like do the switch back and forth once, just so I can see, how well it does?
Yeah, so let's go back to, so there's 16:9.
Notable, you couldn't really tell.
Yeah, it depends on the content you're watching. Obviously, like I said, they do a little bit of minor stretching on the side and a little bit of cropping at the top, because they're trying to preserve as much of the image as they can without just doing a straight zoom. If you had something that was panning from side to side, you might see a little bit of a stretch as it got to the outsides of it. But I find that, yeah, I find a lot of my clients like it for things like sports, simply because it makes it where, like, if you're watching football or something, it'll fill up the whole screen. So again, I'll push it here, So there's nonlinear stretch. So now I'm filling up my entire scope screen.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, you can tell
then,
a little bit, but I feel like it's worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just, again, it leaves the option up to the end user. Some people are willing to do a little bit of compromise to make it where it fills up that whole screen, depending on what they're watching or anything else. So
I think that's what most of our clients are going to want is, like you said, especially because theaters, well, most of our clients, they're doing multi-purpose. They're watching sports, they're playing games, they're doing Netflix, they're watching Blu-rays. So just having it fill that screen all the time is a huge request, which is why we've been selling so many projectors that have the lens memory built in and now are offering the DCR lens, but having the Lumagen scaler and the Kaleidoscape system really just maximizes the potential of all of those.
Yeah, and like I said, at any one time, when I talked about kind of like the DCR lens or zooming with a projector that already has that built in. So if I'm using I'll grab my my JVC remote here. So the JVC, has anamorphic mode. So I have to go into here, I have to go to the installation mode, and then I have to go to the anamorphic mode. And then I would have to push, C if I want to watch scope, or D if I want to watch 16:9. And it's just one or the other. And I have to go in here and select that. Or I can pre-program it as a mode, and then I have to go in and say, okay, I want mode whatever. And then it's already set up for that. But you really only have the 2 aspect ratios. So in this case, here we are, this is full scope. And like I said before, I can start, so there's, 2.2, 2.1, 2.0, 18, 1.85, 16:9. I can make it any size I want. Out of all of these are just the common ones. It actually supports all the ones that are in between. And normally, like I said, it would just detect the aspect ratio and set it to what it's supposed to be. But I can manually select it to anything I want on the fly, depending on what the movie is. But again, this is all usually automatically done. And then I can set it back so that it does it where it auto-detected it immediately. Some other nice kind of little perks. I set up Lumagen so that if I push the right arrow on the remote, it goes immediately to a test pattern. This probably looks all wonky right now because my iPhone can't resolve that. But in this case, I can just sit here and switch between a multitude of different test patterns on the fly. So I can look at things and see like, hey, is that set up properly? I can even do measurements right from, without having to go into any, menus. But the one that comes up, which again, like right now looks weird because the Apple can't resolve it properly unless it looks okay on your side, is one that I use to just check my focus every once in a while. It's a perfect pattern. It's a crosshatch pattern with some dots on it where if I want to check my focus real quick, I just hit that. And then I'm right back to watching what I had before. So again, just nice little things. And then if you hit the OK button, it'll show you exactly what's coming inside in terms of like what the signal is. So in this case, we're feeding a Strato that's 4K, at 60 Hertz, and then my output, resolution. So I can see what it is. I can see, a bunch of different things. So if somebody's having a problem or something, we can find out immediately, what the video input is and what the output is to make sure that it's not a compatibility issue.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I really appreciate you taking us through your theater and showing in real life exactly how this works. I think this is really valuable. And this is the space where you're going to be calibrating all of our clients' systems, right? And setting up the Lumagen.
Yeah, this is the main space that I use. I'll try and turn on some lights here. As you can see, it is a fully dedicated theater. What I typically do is if I get a client's projector in, I set up a stand, somewhere in between here, or I even have used it where I stack it here. If I have to, I can move the chairs out of here and stuff like that. But more often than not, I just set up a stand, put the projector in here. Again, this is a fully light controlled environment. I can make it what I want. Everything in here is dimmable. And then I have a, I just basically, like I said, I just use this screen. I attach the material, I set up the zoom, and I set up the throw properly. And
yeah,
then,
so for all you guys that haven't seen the other videos that we made with Chris, basically, whenever you buy a projector or a scaler or lens, whatever, for your home theater, we ship it directly to him, and then he sets it up with the exact material that you guys are going to use in your space, screen material, the exact room conditions, basically everything. He's going to emulate it in this space and then calibrate everything so that whenever you get it, it's just plug and play.
Yeah, correct. And you can see here, I talked about before, this is my Lumagen test unit. It's a fully capable unit, but it's in a portable one. I use it sometimes when I go out on tours in case somebody's unit doesn't work, we could still get the job done. So I do all the calibration if it's using a Lumagen, using this one as opposed to the one that's in my rack right below it, so that I can just get all of the work done, send the configuration file to Lumagen to load onto a new unit or onto the customer's existing unit. So everything is done there. And yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. It's pretty simple. And it's been a great service. I've done, you know, especially now with the COVID stuff going on, I've actually been doing a lot of these, a few of them a week, and I haven't had any complaints yet. So.
Well, you're the man. I appreciate you taking time to show that to us. And I'm sure our clients are going to be using your services going forward. We've already done one with you, and I look forward to doing more.
Yeah, looking forward to it. And please reach out at all if you guys have any questions.
Awesome. All right. Have a good one. Thanks, Chris.
All right. Bye.
What do you guys think? Pretty cool relationship that we have with Chris Deering, and I'm just so excited to be doing more of these projects. I hope that this helped you guys make an educated buying decision. And even if you're not looking for it, I just hope that you thought it was cool. Drop some likes and subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And if you would like to purchase this product, we do have nationwide free shipping and the lowest price guaranteed. Just give us a call and we will be happy to discuss the options and the potential of your system and figure out what's right for your budget. Well, that's all I got for you guys today. If you liked it, thumbs up and smash that subscribe button down below. Till next time, this is Zach of Dreamedia Home Theater. Thank you for watching.